Welcome back to the Mike and Andrew Show. I'm Andrew Serwick here again with Mike Meredith. Mike, we've had two games so far in both series. We're going to talk about both those games here tonight. We'll go a little bit more into the NHL because it's at least had something to talk about more so than the NBA Finals. But how you doing this evening, man?
Doing good. Yeah, it's very interesting to see how, especially the NBA finals have been going. Uh, with Dallas just really struggling early on.
Yeah, they really have been struggling. Offensive production has just not been there, and I mean, part of that has to do with the Celtics' defense all year has been a top three defense, and I mean they've just looked dominant over Dallas, who looked very very dominant over the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Finals there, but just yeah really struggling to just get anything going now in these finals offensively and then defensively. They just have no answer at all for the Celtics offense that has just been elite all year, and I mean that's just been their storylines. They've been elite on both ends of the court. Um, but yeah, man, just Dallas, no answer. Almost like they have no life against this Celtics team.
Yeah, it's like the only one who's doing anything is Luca. He seems to be the only Dallas player kind of playing good. Kyrie Irving's been awful in both games. He's been just shooting horribly, not showing up. And without him showing up, especially in game three, I mean, it's going to be wraps. Like, he can't do it all himself. Um, yeah, but the Celtics are just playing good right now. Like, even Tatum, who is, like, supposed to be the best player, the odds-on favorite to win the MVP for the finals, he hasn't been averaging that much. He's only been averaging, like, 17 and 10. Um, his efficiency hasn't been that great. But players like Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, which we've been saying all year, the Celtics team is just so deep, man. Like they are basically winning games by playing good defense. The Mavs haven't been that good, and their whole team is just showing up.
Yeah, Kyrie has just been god awful in this
Mm,
series. I mean,
One
it's
three-pointer
yeah,
in 2 games.
awful, absolutely awful. And it's not necessarily that the Celtics are shutting him down. I mean, they have been for the most part, but at other times it's just like, what is this man doing? He's just not doing anything. And it's as someone who wants the Mavs to win, because as a Detroit fan of any sport, fuck all Boston teams. Um, I just, it's just frustrating to see. Luka's the only one showing up for this Mavs team, and Jason Tatum's had a okay series. He hasn't been elite like it was predicted for him to be, but um, it's just frustrating watching this Mavericks team right now because they are not playing anywhere near as good as they were in the playoffs leading up to these finals.
Yeah. So the finals of both games. So first game, Celtics just flat out got up 20 and just never looked back. They won 107-89. And then second game was a little bit closer. Celtics won 105-98. But again, Celtics kind of just took control down the stretch. Towards the end of that game, Dallas had a chance to kind of get it close, but then players like Drew Holiday were playing really good defense, and he did that in his run with the Bucks as well. He is such a valuable player, and right now he's probably been the most valuable player in my opinion for the Celtics run. And Game 3 is going to be in Dallas tomorrow. Dallas has to win. Dallas goes down 3-0, it's over. So Dallas has to win to keep this series alive. So we'll see how they do, man. I mean, like I said, they have to win Game 3. Boston is in such a good position right now because, if they win, then, I mean, they're up 3-0 and series is probably over in a few games, if not a sweep. And then if Dallas wins, they can finally get back on track, maybe get a rhythm going. Porzingis for the Celtics, who he there was a quote that he said there. He was like, "I will literally die out there on the floor." Like he's gonna leave everything out there that he can. He's dealing with they're calling it a rare leg injury, where um, he's got something going on with his leg where he's just dealing with not being able to play. So the guy right now listed as day to day, but he could miss some time in the series. He could miss the rest of the series. He could be back for game three. It's just kind of unknown right now. He wants to play. Like I said, he says he's literally willing to play through injury, basically, to play through the finals. But I, I think if they go up, especially if they go up 3-0, like no need to bring him back. I mean, no need to have him get hurt even more just for them to win this series. But maybe if it gets back to 2-2, they might need him. Man, he was a big X factor in game one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You know what happens with him. He's got a lot of heart. He obviously wants to win this thing so much. And you see this in the finals for every sport. You know, guys will play through really tough injuries just to have a chance at winning. And we'll talk about that when we get to the NHL finals here because there's some injury news there that we got to talk about from last night's game. But that said, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Porzingis here. I hope he comes back because you hate seeing a guy just not have to play or not being able to play in the finals over an injury like that. But I think his health is the most important part. So if he can't play, he can't play, and I think it'd be in his best interest to sit out Game 3 because maybe he'll be good to go for Game 4. So. And if he's good to go for Game 4, then he's not even needed for Game 3 if Boston ends up winning that game anyways without him. So um, it'd be kind of a win-win situation for him no matter what to just sit out Game 3 and try and rest whatever is actually injured on him there on his leg. But yeah, huge news and unfortunate news for Celtics fans. But maybe it'll be okay and he can play through it or something. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I have much more to add on the series right now. It's been pretty one-sided with Boston winning. Hopefully, like I said, that will change. But I mean, that's the main thing for this series. Dallas has to win Game 3. Kyrie and the rest of Dallas as a team need to be better. And the Celtics are just kind of playing. I don't know if I would say it's good team basketball, but just everyone on their team is contributing like they have been all year. So um, right now, Boston's looking like they're gonna win this, and they've been pretty much the favorite all season long. We've talked about Boston being at the top, so uh, we'll see how the game goes tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens from there. But yeah, Dallas needs to pick it the fuck up if they want to even get themselves back in this series because they really have not shown up in either game. But especially game one, they just did not look good. And Kyrie needs to wake the fuck up from whatever nap he's in because that man is not played a game. I don't think in this series because it's like he's not even there.
For real, and he was supposed to be like some people were saying he was going to be the second best player in the whole series, and he's got the skills. I mean, he's one of the most skilled players, and he's just been not showing up. And this was like completely the opposite of the first time he went to the finals back when he was a lot younger, 8 years ago with the Cavaliers. He was one of their bright spots. I mean, without him, they don't win that championship in Cleveland. He was hitting big shots, making big plays, and uh, now he's not doing any of that.
Yeah, he's just looked god awful in these first two games. And speaking of god awful, let's move on to the NHL, man, because we have some issues here in this series, and it's all on Edmonton's offense. They have been god awful in this series so far against Florida. And what's crazy about it is game one. Edmonton dominated that game offensively. I mean, they had twice as many shots as Florida at the end of the game. Florida only had like 4 shots on goal in the first period, just because Edmonton was able to control the puck so much. Um, but here's the problem, right? Sergei Bobrovsky he's making his stake to be in the NHL Hall of Fame when he retires in this series. And just really, I mean, he's had a Hall of Fame career already. He just doesn't have that cup to his name. But I think that's going to change in this series. But Edmonton, man, they are struggling against Bobrovsky, and there's one reason for that. And Edmonton likes to put the puck low on shots. They like to dangle around goalies. They like to put it 5-hole a lot offensively. McDavid and Draisaitl especially are known for messing goalies up and getting it 5-hole or just getting it around the side of the pad down low. Bobrovsky has been elite stopping shots down low, really all his career. Um, and here's so last night he gave up a goal 5-hole, and it was kind of a messy play, so things like that will happen. But before that, Bobrovsky never allowed a goal in the 5-hole in the playoffs since the 2022 playoffs. Before that,
Wow.
and you got to think about it. Like they made that cup run last year that fell. Not a single goal allowed was 5-hole in that entire run for Bobrovsky there. It's been insane. Florida's defense, though, in Game 2 last night looked absolutely stellar. The fact that they have held Draisaitl and McDavid to 1 point through 2 games combined is really, really telling about how good Florida has been playing defensively. Their positioning has been great. They're not overexerting themselves defensively, especially when Edmonton has good long puck possession in their offensive zone. Florida has just been really, really good, making sure everyone's got their man covered, and it's just shut down completely that McDavid Draisaitl line. But they've also shut down every other line that Edmonton has thrown Florida's way, and it's shown. Yes, Edmonton dominated Game 1, but they still lost 3-0 there. Florida got some lucky breaks in that game and was able to beat Skinner when they needed to and won that game. That said, Edmonton has to pick it the fuck up somehow. They have to stop trying and beat Bob low, because you are not going to beat Bobrovsky low 9 times out of 10. It's just not going to happen. He is one of the best goalies when it comes to metrically. He's one of the best goalies when it comes to shots below the pad height. So they have to try and get the puck up in the air. But even then, Bobrovsky has been outstanding in that category. Florida, if they play like they did last night in Game 2, there is absolutely no chance Edmonton wins this series at all, because Florida just looked very dominant. They made Edmonton look very, very desperate. Edmonton's taken cheap shots. A spear to the nuts on, I think it was Lundell from Draisaitl late in the game, just because Edmonton was getting frustrated. A lot of very bad penalties at the very end of the game from Edmonton, because they were just getting very pissed off. And Florida's not really egging them on. I mean, Tkachuk is doing Tkachuk things. That's what he always does. But, Edmonton just looking very, very desperate in that third period against Florida last night.
Yeah, I think that Edmonton and the Mavericks are just going through the same situation where they're just getting beat, man. They're the more skilled team. Well, I don't know if Dallas is more skilled as a team as Boston, but definitely have the 2 more skilled players, just like how Edmonton has the 2 more skilled players in McDavid and Draisaitl, and they're just getting shut down right now. Their skill is they're just not able to score on Bob right now. He's doing really well at protecting the 5-hole and just protecting anything down low. they have to change something up, or else it's going to be over for them. They got to change something up for Game 3.
Yeah, and you would have thought after game one, because they barely had any shots above his pads in game one. Um, you'd have to think, game two they're gonna try and beat them up high, and they didn't even try to. They tried to do the same thing that they did all season on everyone else, and just beat everyone down low. And granted, there is merit to that strategy, but when you have one of the best goalies metrically when it comes to beating shots down low, um,
Mm-hmm.
you have to change it up. But that said, Florida's defense did not. Florida's defense last night only allowed one high danger chance, and this is a team that averages about allowing 4 to 5 in a game. And high danger chances are kind of a rare thing in the NHL, but to limit this Edmonton team, which dominates the very center of the ice, dominates teams, gets the most high danger chances out of any team in this league, to limit them to only one in one game and three in both games combined. It's very telling about how just good Florida's defense has been playing, and Florida's power or penalty kill has been a lot better um, in this series than it has really all playoffs. And not only that, but the power plays look really good. And it's crazy because last night Edmonton finally gave up a power play goal in the playoffs for the first time in like 34 attempts against them. And I mean, that was a huge difference maker in last night's game. But yeah, just the way Florida's been playing, making Edmonton look desperate. If they look like that again, I think it's going to be trouble for Edmonton. Now, the 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 problem with Florida right now is we don't know the situation with Alexander Barkov. We don't know if he's good to go yet for Game 3 or not. He took a very, very nasty hit to the head last night that was not given a proper penalty for. I mean, it was a clear, intent to injure kind of hit, and I forget who laid that hit on him at the moment, but yeah, didn't. You only got a 2-minute penalty for it. Should have been a 10-minute misconduct and an ejection on that hit, but it is what it is, and probably looking at a suspension, to be honest with you. But we don't know his status right now, but right now it's looking like Florida is probably going to be without him for Game 3. I hope that's certainly not the case, but if Florida can play like they did in that third period without him, I think Florida's going to have no problem here. I do think Florida is going to drop one of these games here in Edmonton over these next two games, just because it's bound to happen. It's so rare that a sweep happens in the NHL. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, the last time a sweep happened in the Stanley Cup Finals was the '98 Red Wings. So if that tells you how rare it is, it's pretty fucking rare. But no, I still don't think Edmonton's gonna get swept here. I think they're just too good. They're gonna figure out a way to beat Florida in one of these games. But I tell you what, right now, the way things are looking, the way Florida has played, the way Florida rallied after Barkov was taken out last night, it spells big, big trouble for Edmonton here.
Man, you kind of piqued my curiosity with when you said that the last sweep was 1998. So I looked at that for the NBA. So over the course of the decade, not the decade, but the century, there's been three sweeps. So the 2018 Warriors over the Cavs, the 2007 Spurs over the Cavs, and then the Lakers in 2002 over the Nets. So yeah, man, sweeps don't happen often. I truly don't think that either of these series are going to be in a sweep. But right now, it's looking like Florida and Boston have the advantage, and they definitely control the tempo in both these series.
And you're absolutely right. It's honestly, I don't think either series is gonna go in four. I don't. It's just the way the competitive nature of both the NBA and the NHL is. I just see somehow, some way, both Edmonton and Dallas are going to win at least one of these games over the next two games. I just don't see any way how that's not going to happen. Um, but both teams are on track, and both teams, by both teams I obviously mean Florida and Boston. Both teams are on track for the sweep. Both teams have been absolutely dominant, especially Boston in particular. They've been very, very dominant in this series. Edmonton was not dominant in game two, but they were dominant in game one. But yeah, just Florida has just been so almost perfect. Paul Maurice has done a great job coaching them in these playoffs, and has had a great plan of shutting down Draisaitl and McDavid. And um, you know, I think Dallas, in a way, I mean, obviously hockey and basketball, two completely different sports. You can't shut down players the way you do in the NHL that you do in the NBA, but Dallas can take some notes on how to shut down the best players on the other team from Florida in a way. Just you got to figure that out. Um, but yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting next few days for both leagues. We'll see. We'll kind of see what happens. Part of me wants Florida to get the sweep just because it'd be funny because it'd be the first time the Stanley Cup was in Canada in a while, and it's not even going to a Canadian team. But no, I don't see a way Florida sweeps this series still. I would love for it to happen because fuck Canada, but I mean, as far as the NBA goes, Dallas needs to figure something out, and Kyrie really, really needs to step up.
Yeah, yeah. I think we kind of nailed it for both of those series, and we'll keep you updated on Thursday. So when's the next NHL game? Which day is it going to be?
I believe that is actually tomorrow. I'm gonna double
Tomorrow? Okay.
check that real quick.
Yeah.
Nope, there's nothing tomorrow. Thursday is game three. So
Thursday.
I
Okay.
think I think the NHL and the NBA have kind of scheduled their games to make sure they're not interfering with each other.
Yeah.
Because I mean there's fans like you and I that
Watch
want to
both.
watch both. So um, you know that's nice of the NHL and the NBA to do to make sure they stay out of each other's way because they are technically competitors because they play the season throughout each other's season. So um, that said, though, yeah, Thursday we're gonna keep you kind of updated. We might not have an episode on Thursday just because there's only gonna be one game um, for each series. But if something big happens, we'll definitely make sure we have an episode there. But we'll kind of just play it by ear on that. So that said, rate, review, subscribe, help us out. Let us know what you guys want to see more of course. Keep sharing the pod. We're gonna keep growing this thing. We got some news about the pod coming up. We'll talk about that in whenever our next episode is. That we'll just kind of have to discuss. There's going to be some changes going on here soon, so we'll talk about that when we get to it. But thank you guys again so much for listening, and we will see you guys on Thursday.